Welcome to episode 130 of the Quick Time Event Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, John.
But Josh, what happened to episode 129?
It happened last week, but I got the number wrong. If you don't remember, if you were listening last week, I started the show and I was like 128. It was not 128.
No.
It was not.
Granted, I never have any idea. So.
And you encouraged it last week. You were like, yeah, 128 sounds right. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then I repeated 128.
I
repeated 128 at the end of the show, too. It was never episode 128. No. But this is episode 130. And on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about stocks and the economy and all a bunch of fun stuff.
It's going to be such a weird ass show compared to every other show.
This is a place for nerdy culture, and it just so happens that this week nerdy culture is overlapping with the real world. I say the real world, but is the stock market at all reflective of the real world? No.
The stock market is made up.
But before we get to all of that, let's talk about what we've been doing. John, what have you been up to?
I have done a couple things. In keeping with my movies, I did not start Marvel yet. I watched the final movie that was in the way of Marvel. And so I watched Coco. Good movie.
Coco is a great... Yeah, I did. I love Coco.
That was a good film. I enjoyed that.
I watched Coco about a week after Churchill died. And it made me incredibly sad.
Yeah, no, I could see why that would do that.
Very
I don't know if
sad.
that's really good timing or really bad timing, but it's one of the two.
It was good timing because it's like the uplifting kind of sad. Like it's a great movie. Yeah. It's like it humanizes death in a way that I think is really unique. And it does it sort of it's a celebration. That's what Day of the Dead's all about. Yeah. It's about celebrating the dead. And the last scene of that movie, like because of the context, whenever I hear that song or if I see it pop up on YouTube or whatever, I start to tear up because it's so great.
I could see why that would happen. So I watched that. I beat Bloodstained. Boy, oh boy, that was a game. There were some great parts and there were some god awful parts that should have stayed in the original Castlevania series. Mostly like I think this was probably a thing in Castlevania. There were a couple instances where like there was only one way you needed to go, and to go that certain way you needed a specific item that like
the random spawn thing.
No, not even that. This is like an item in a chest, but like in an area you went to, but it's also hidden in like a weird way that you would never think to go back and check with like this new power up that you got. Are you ever going to play Bloodstained? Can I say something about it?
Yes.
So you get a skill called Invert, which I think comes from Castlevania.
It does, yeah. It inverts everything. That was like a big... I think Symphony of the Night...
Down.
I think Symphony of the Night is the one
great.
Where it like you play the game again, but it's upside down or whatever.
Yeah. So this takes Invert and makes it a skill. So like your character inverts. It doesn't necessarily like the enemies don't necessarily follow, but you can gain access to new areas obviously because you're quasi flying essentially. And so there's this giant ass tower that you go to like halfway through the game. And you fill out the map, like it says that you've explored everything, you beat a boss there. But then there's this armor piece that stops you from taking damage from like spikes and traps. And to get to this area that has another item that you need to unlock the actual ending of the game, you need to go through this hallway of spikes. And to do that, you need to have this armor plate. But to have that, you need to go get this invert skill. And, I don't know, have the 3-dimensional chest brain to go back to this tower from, like, multiple hours ago that you had finished exploring. Like, it's just... I don't really like that because the game didn't give you any kind of hint on that.
Sure.
They were just like, hey, here's a here's a spike hallway. Figure out what you need to do to get through. Good luck.
And that's why these games typically don't speak to me. That's why I never got into Castlevania growing up. I don't have any connection to the Metroid series. The thing that Hollow Knight did right is that it was obvious. It was so obvious. Like, you knew. Yeah. Like, you saw it, you went one direction, and you knew when you saw something. Like, oh, if I had a double jump, it would be really easy to get up there. Or, oh, if I had this other power, I could see how I could get to that other platform. I definitely know I can't do it right now, but at some point in the future, I will be able to. And so let me get on my map and my little marker thing, and I'll put down a little icon that says, come back to this when I know I'm going to be able to get past it. But when the thing's just like, hey, you completed this, and, you know, there's nothing super obvious. So when you get this other skill...
It's at the top, which now becomes the bottom of the map.
Sure. So
which
now...
you could never access anyways unless you have this skill.
So now go back through basically, if you don't know what you're doing or if you don't want to look it up or whatever, look through the entire game again. Because that's I
hope you don't miss it. Because there's a good chance that if you comb through it again, but you miss like one or two areas, you're going to have to comb through it a third time.
Yeah, that's not appealing to me.
That was less than ideal. It had a pretty average story. It wasn't anything mind blowing. It was very expected. The gameplay was fun, and then by the time I was getting to that point, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start looking stuff up because I'm not about to spend hours upon hours of my life trying to figure out these cryptic little mysteries that they put into this game.
Sure.
So I was like, while I'm here, let's find out what the best weapon and best armor and like just the best equipment are, because I'm just going to go ahead and get those and be able to just power through everything, because I know I'm near the end, because I had like 80+% map completion. So it turns out whenever you get all the best equipment, all the bosses become a lot easier. Like you still have to dodge and stuff like that, but like you can just really whittle them down quick.
Easy mode.
Pretty much. Still an enjoyable game. I'm not mad at it. I played the Metroid games back in the day. But I'd never played the Castlevania series, or if I did, it was for like
it was a PlayStation exclusive for a while, right? I know that there were games back on the NES or the SNES, but
sure.
After, I feel like when we started playing games in the mid-90s, what was your first system? N64? Because that was mine.
N64 was my first system, but like we had family friends who had the Super Nintendo. So I had some experience with that, but like that was only when we went over to their place, and that wasn't super often. So But the most famous Castlevania games are PlayStation exclusive games. They were on the PS1. So it makes sense why you would never have encountered that in your youth. Yeah, but it does make me feel like I've completed it, because I've always liked the Metroidvania style games, but really it was just the Metroid style games, because I'd never played Castlevania. I just was like, all right, well, it's called Metroidvania, so I guess I'll just say I like Metroidvania. So it is nice that I now have exposure to a more Castlevania styled game, and I did enjoy it. There were just little things that were kind of game design things that I wouldn't have done, that, again, as we've discussed time and time again, should have stayed in the era that they came out in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was certainly a thing. That was a time. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I was able to snag Captain Toad's Adventure or whatever for like $5. And I did play through the main story of that. I think I still have like the DLC that I could go through, but I kind of went through it all in like a day, and I'm a little burnt out of it.
That's fair. So, I mean, I guess you got your $5 worth.
Yeah.
For a day of enjoyment. Where else could you spend $5 and get a day of enjoyment?
I don't think it's worth whatever the full price is. I don't even know what the full price is, but it's not worth it.
I can't believe that they the balls, the balls on Nintendo to charge full price for that thing on the Switch.
I thought it's not $59.99. It's like isn't it like $39.99 or something? I thought it was like the lower tier that like 3 of their games are at.
Okay. I don't know for sure, but still to charge like full price I mean, they've charged fucking full price for Mario 64 again. So, I mean,
yeah,
I understand, but like, it was a failed Wii game or Wii U game. Just like, let us have it. The Walmart price is more in line with what it should have been valued at. Like $20 is probably the price point I would have shipped it.
20 with the DLC, I could understand. I think it's at that $39.99 price point that, like, again, for whatever reason, 3 of their games have. That is far too much. $5 is a steal, just because, like, it is a good game in terms of, like, it's very well polished, and it's not, I don't know, very in depth, but you do get more than $5 worth of entertainment out of it, I think.
Well, to be clear, $5 was quite literally a steal because Walmart didn't mean to do that. So
yeah,
in a way.
So yeah, I played through that. I beat it. Good time. It was a good Saturday. I think that's pretty much it. Still keeping on with One Piece. So almost at episode 300. Might be there by next week. We'll see.
Godspeed.
Thank you.
Kicked off the weekend last week with WandaVision. Keep the steams going full. What the fuck is it called? The engine's going full steam ahead. Episode opens with a Brady Bunch theme, basically. It's so fucking great. It's so great. The cinematography is just something else.
Sure.
I will say though, in this most recent episode, while I did love it and all of the callbacks and all that stuff, I am getting to the point where I think that like they have to start moving on from the happy-go-lucky
sure
of the early episodes. From what I understand, when they showed this thing to press for reviews, they showed the first 3 episodes, I think, even though the third episode came out weekly. The first 2 episodes were launched together. The third one came out a week later. The next one comes out tomorrow. But they showed the first 3 episodes to press right up front, which leads me to believe that episode 4 is maybe when we start to get
when things
somewhere with the plot.
Yeah.
So we'll find out tomorrow, but I'm still in love with it. It's really great. It actually made me. We watched fucking Age of Ultron again last Friday.
Wow,
we completed
the movie that you said was a piece of shit. In terms of Marvel movies.
In terms of Marvel movies, it is by far, other than the Thor movies, Thor 1 and 2 specifically, it's the lowest of the low when it comes to those movies.
Yeah, which is still like a good movie.
Sure. In
the grand scheme of, cinematic filmography.
Yeah.
But
Thor and Thor 2, I would say, are the 2 worst movies. Thor Ragnarok is probably, honestly, my favorite movie.
What a
redemption. It's like, as soon as they figured out that, you know what, Thor, we just gotta be weird with it. It just works. It works. There's something about it that just works. But Age of Ultron was down there with those movies, is bottom tier.
I think I saw that one.
It's the one with the city that's in the sky in it.
We've discussed it many a time, but I watched most, if not all, of Phase 1. Probably 70% of Phase 2, and then like nothing from Phase 3.
Sure. Robert California is Ultron. But at the end of episode 3 of WandaVision, it actually prompts you to say, hey, here's Age of Ultron. Because in that third episode of WandaVision, they mentioned some of the events from Age of Ultron, which has not happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After Age of Ultron, like the next major thing that happened was Civil War. Almost immediately after that, no one ever goes back. Like there's been no mention of Ultron. There's been no mention of Quicksilver or anything since Age of Ultron. Like Quicksilver died in Age of Ultron. Wanda had this huge death, like the only family member she ever had dead now. And like no one talks about it. But they mentioned it in this episode, and then as soon as the episode ended, it prompted you to go back and watch Age of Ultron. And what I found was that, holy crap, that movie, it's still not a good movie. I'm not coming to say it's a good movie now, but they did so much in that movie to lay groundwork for the future of the MCU that you don't remember. Like people that are invested in the MCU like I am, I don't remember half the shit that was even in that movie. But like they started character development in that movie, not only for Wanda, but then also that's the movie where Vision was introduced, and several other characters too that you see develop over the phase 3 and into Infinity War. And like, kudos to them to like make this movie that's critically like not very well received, but then like it goes to show how like the value of like continuing what your vision is.
Yeah.
Like you start a story and people didn't like it, but you know in the end it's going to be worth it. This is one of those times. So like if you're somebody who has watched the MCU and like you're a fan of the MCU, but you didn't like Age of Ultron, I would recommend going back to watch it if you're out there, because it's still not a great movie, but you'll appreciate it a lot more
redeeming
now.
qualities.
Yeah, for sure. So that was how I spent my weekend last weekend, is watching an old movie and a sort of an old TV show.
A new TV show made like an old TV show.
Yeah. Other than that, in Overwatch, I finally got my silver border about 500 hours later, something like that.
Congratulations.
It's more than that, like 600 probably, almost. I now am no longer a bronze border, which means people are going to start being mean to me in quick
Imagine if you could carry over your PlayStation playtime and stats and all that.
Yeah. I mean, at this point I've put like 6 times the amount of time I spent on.
Sure, but like that would still get you to like another star probably.
Yeah. I don't understand why games like that, and I'm playing Apex Legends again too, but I don't know why games like that don't have cross progression. Cross progression.
Yeah.
Fortnite does, I think.
I think it does too.
But Overwatch, a game that came out,
I think even Rocket League has it.
I think it does.
I think you can have your like your custom built cars cross platform.
Sure. But Overwatch and Apex Legends don't have it. Apex Legends I get a little bit more because it's newer. It's still not new. It's 2 years old at this point. But Overwatch has been out since 2016. It's been 5 years that game's been out. And it still doesn't have cross progression? Like, why can't we figure that out, Blizzard?
Do you think they'll put it in Overwatch 2?
I really hope so. Like, at this point, Overwatch 2 is almost like a meme. And I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, too, with one of the news stories.
Is it approaching Half-Life 3?
No, it's not like that. It's just like when they announced Overwatch 2, it was at the BlizzCon where everyone was, like, pissed at Blizzard.
Everyone was
because
mad
of
at Blizzard. The Hong Kong
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And they come out, a lot of people are like, oh, they just gave us Overwatch 2 because like they only showed it off there as like a mea culpa for the Hong Kong thing. And I don't believe that. I'm not forgiving them for the Hong Kong thing, but I think that they wanted to show Overwatch 2 there. The meme is now that like, because we don't really know what Overwatch 2 is, and Overwatch 2 to begin with was kind of nebulous because they said the multiplayer is all going to be one pool. You don't need to buy Overwatch 2 to continue playing. It's all going to be one base of players. Players even in the original Overwatch are still going to get the new heroes. Like it doesn't make sense. Overwatch 2 to a degree does not make sense.
It's basically like the way that they have phrased it. Overwatch 2 is a way for you to buy Overwatch again.
Probably.
And like give them more money for
campaign. I mean, they showed off there's going to be story
campaign
stuff.
For sure.
Right. So there's going to be single player content. There's like in the single player part, there's like skill trees for heroes now and stuff, supposedly.
That would line up with like Diablo and stuff like that, so that makes sense.
Sure. It's just like at this point, the meme for people in the Overwatch community. I think people outside the Overwatch community, Overwatch 2 is just a meme because they don't like it. But within the Overwatch 2 community, the meme is that Overwatch 2 is just going to fix everything, which is not probably going to happen, but I believe.
Those are some high expectations.
Yeah, I like small stuff like that. Like I mean, to me, cross progression should be a small thing. That's not a huge monumental ask in the year 2021 when the biggest game of all time is doing it with Fortnite. And I get Fortnite maybe has a different cache situation, but like it's just a different way to route your servers. Really, it's not going to be that difficult.
Yeah. It almost makes me wonder, and this is maybe, I don't know how this would work or how hard this would be to do, but like I do wonder how difficult it would be to have one third party, not affiliated with any of the major publishers, with any of the major console producers, none of them, just a complete third party. You sign up with an account with them and you can link all of your shit together in one central place. So that you don't have this issue with anything going forward, not just specific games, but like, I don't know, it'd be a cool place that you could go visit your central profile and be like, okay, here's my gamer score and my trophy count. Here's literally all of my shit like dumped into one big pool. I have no idea how hard that would be to like work.
Well, I mean,
but I've got to imagine it's possible.
I don't know about that. I mean, sure, it's possible. It's definitely, I mean, if someone wanted to do it, they could figure it out. I think the issue is Xbox and PlayStation with the PSN and Xbox Live. And they don't, even Xbox, who is, well, we'll get to that too. Even Xbox, who has been more open with their services and stuff, like they still don't want to necessarily give away Xbox Live, like the rights to Xbox Live, to be able to build, like for a third party company to come in, let's just say Epic, because that's where my mind's going, for Epic to create the Epic Pass or the Epic profile or whatever, and then all of your profile stats from your PSN go in here, and all of your profile stats from Xbox Live go in here, and you can see everything. Epic already does that with Fortnite. Like, you have your Epic account and your Fortnite stuff all goes there, but your PlayStation Network stuff doesn't talk to your Xbox stuff in that way.
I just want to be able to go to one single source.
Sure.
And view all of my shit.
I feel like that, like, just viewing it, I think is one thing. Like, having them talk to each other through that third party service is maybe a tall ask. But I feel like even Discord,
you would need to have the specific game developers, work that out. But like,
just like basic
at least
stats, maybe
at least having one
central
place is the start in my mind. Like that's the ground level, and then once you have that established and people are on that service, that's whenever you're like, okay, Blizzard, work it out with Xbox, work it out with PlayStation, work it out with PC users, however they're playing, get all their stats to somehow upload to the central profile, and then your progression issue is solved if you make it play nice.
Here's how you do it. All these people that went out and bought GameStop stock.
Yes.
Go and take that money and invest it in Discord. Go become Discord investors and have Discord be that service, because that makes sense. Discord already connects to all of those other places. Even if those other places don't want like, I would love it if PlayStation and Xbox just just have a Discord app. Please just put Discord on your... Great. I don't want to use the PlayStation party system. I just want to use Discord.
Yeah.
Because it's an industry standard thing at this point. Think about the integrations, like, you could have with even like streaming and stuff, like to be able to have your Discord calls in, because PlayStation streaming on your PlayStation, if you're trying to get into streaming like as a hobby, is a great way to get in the front door, to just press the share button and then connect right to Twitch.
Yeah. There's no investment really needed.
Right. You have to buy a PlayStation camera if you want to be on camera, and that's really it.
Yeah.
A decent microphone or a headset is really all you need.
But you don't need a soundboard, you don't need a capture card, you don't need your own webcam, you don't need proper lighting unless you have the camera, which, again, even if without the proper lighting, you can still do it.
Sure. But like, PlayStation wants that to be a thing. Like, that's a thing that's a feature that they market as a share feature. Like, they market that. Think about how much better it could be if it had Discord integration. It would be amazing.
True. And on top of that, I'm sure that you could, I don't really mess around with my own profile in Discord, but like, I imagine that you could make the profiles pretty fleshed out, essentially make it
that's what I was getting at, is that you can connect Discord to a bunch of stuff and have like your link in there to your Blizzard tag or to your Steam tag or to your, I think you can put your PlayStation or Xbox Live gamer tags in there. Like, that's a thing that already happens. Discord connects to those services, even if it's only on a, small ping level where you're getting one piece of information or something. It's already sort of reaching its feelers out to all of that. So just have Discord be that place.
Yeah.
Let's put that on Reddit.
We just solved very first world problems, but problems nonetheless.
If Discord can mobilize a mob of people to overthrow the stock market, they should be able to organize this too, I would think.
Yeah. 100%.
How did we get here? So I got my silver border on Overwatch, and then I've been playing a lot of Apex Legends on PS4 lately. This week.
You're winning.
I have been winning kinda. I don't understand what happened. It's been so the last time I played was like season 2, I think, which was probably late 2019. I think.
Sure.
I logged in and I had just a shit ton of currency and a shit ton of loot boxes to open. I don't know if at some point they were just like, hey, you played this game when it was early, here's a bunch of stuff for free. Or maybe I was earning stuff passively for each season or something, even though I wasn't playing it. I don't know how it happened, but I logged in and I had a bunch of loot boxes and I had a bunch of currency. Now, I mean, when we played, when the game first came out, there were 6 or 7 heroes to choose from.
That sounds right. I think there were 4 right off the bat, and then like 2 came out as free DLC.
I think it was a few more. Maybe it was. There were 8 of them. There were 6 that were unlocked, and then Mirage and Caustic were the 2 that you had to unlock.
Those were the 2 unlocks for sure.
Yeah.
I think that there were
at least 6.
There were 4. I thought there were 4 or 5.
No, because I can name, like, there's Bloodhound. There was
Yeah,
Bangalore.
you're right. I think it was
at least 6. Yeah. But yeah, so I've been playing that, and now there's probably 6 or 7 additional heroes to those. I had enough currency to just be able to buy all but 2 of them, I think.
Nice.
And I didn't do anything. Unless someone's been playing on my account when I wasn't looking, but that would require that they log into my PlayStation account, and I don't think they would have done that.
What benefit do they get for
I don't know. Again, there's not cross progression, so it's not like they're playing it on the PC or something. So I don't know what happened. I just got a bunch of free stuff. But that game is still really fun.
My biggest problem with that and all BRs is that I'm just bad at them.
Sure.
And games aren't very fun when you're not winning. Even like I understand that you aren't going to win every single time, because that's just not how, competitive online gameplay works. But I don't think I want a single game of Apex.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we should play, because there's you can even play on your Xbox because there's cross play.
I have it on my on the PlayStation. I'll play it on that. That's fine.
That's true. Well, if you want to use your controller, that's so much better than the PlayStation controller. You can play it on Xbox, and we can still play. Maybe that can take over a little bit of the.
That was the missing piece. It was the Xbox controller versus the PlayStation controller.
Yeah, that was it.
The puzzle's solved.
But yeah, that game is still really great. And I guess today they actually did an update to. There's a ranked system that I'm never gonna play, but. Sure. It's a update that apparently is making a lot of people happy, so it seems like their community is happy, and if you have a happy community, you're doing something right. So yeah, kudos to Respawn over there. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Apex. Yeah. I also started. I'm continuing my streak of starting games with no intention of actually finishing them. This one, when I started the game, I knew I wasn't going to finish it. I wanted the nostalgia. I started Final Fantasy IX.
That one's your favorite, right?
It is. I just wanted to play like the opening introduction kind of thing. Probably like the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the game. Just for the little hit of nostalgia from like the early or mid 90s when that game came out.
Sure.
I guess it was actually probably early 2000s when I played it. I think it came out in 99. Whatever.
Enough playtime to get the nostalgia, but not enough to like see the giant like gameplay shit that you probably didn't realize as you were playing it younger.
Yeah. I will say the thing about those Final Fantasy re-releases, because they're not remakes, they're not remasters even.
They're just the same game.
It's just the same game. It's ported. It's even in 4x3. Like there's what not letterboxes are the ones on top, right? What are these ones?
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
They're the black bars on each side of the screen because
Yeah.
it's a 4:3 aspect ratio, not a 16:9. So like they didn't do anything to the game. However, they did add some cheats. I call them they're called cheats, but like you hit the pause button, and then it says if you press this sequence of buttons on the pause screen, mind you, like it just puts it right there for you. This will speed up the game by 200%, so you can run around a lot faster.
Oh, nice.
This one turns off random encounters. Like that's the most annoying fucking part was the random encounters in those games.
Sure, the Pokemon problem.
Yeah, so like to be able to turn that stuff off is just such a huge quality of life improvement. So I think in that way, like in a way, they don't have that Dragon Quest problem that Yakuza had where they were like picking the wrong things to bring in. They knew that people didn't want to play that old shit, so they got rid of it essentially.
Nice.
So
it is funny that you mentioned those two sidebars because not to hijack, but as I was watching One Piece, I'm at a place where they're like doing flashbacks, but to stuff that we had already seen, like at the very start of the series, because we're almost 300 episodes in. They're like,
that's like 6 years, right? Like if it comes out one a week, that's 6 years into the anime.
So for these flashbacks, and the episodes are pretty much just flashbacks, but like half the episode is for each main character of the crew. So it's going to be like 3 or 4 episodes. But they went back to the original theme song and they went back to the original aspect ratio because they have those sidebars on it and it just says One Piece. And I was like, holy shit. How much time like in the real world passed as this was releasing? Jesus.
I had that same thing.
But yeah, you're right. It was probably 6 or 7 years.
Right. I had that same thing watching Gintama. There's a I can't remember what episode it was around, but you could see where they went from one aspect ratio. I don't know if that was an aspect ratio thing. I think that was actually 720p to full 1080p, but there's still a difference that I could even see in the animation quality. But yeah. Final Fantasy IX?
That was a show that dated itself though, because like there were so many of those little like PSA warnings about like cable boxes not working anymore soon. Which was a very, 2010 problem?
I forgot about that.
Yeah. It wasn't every single episode, but I do remember it happening periodically where they'd be like, hey, don't forget, January 13th, 2012 or 2011 or something, this won't work anymore. And I was like, oh shit, that was a thing.
Yeah, that was something that was just like, I guess I didn't have cable at the time. So it was like, I don't give a shit about this. But yeah, that was everywhere.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say is the PlayStation Plus games were announced for February.
Oh, right.
And in that, it's another fucking great month. Ever since actually, PlayStation Plus has been really legitimately great the last couple of years. I feel like it's this thing where by the end of the generation, because it was the same thing on the PS3. By the end of the PS3 generation, we were getting, like, I think every week it was a major AAA game. It was BioShock. It was, like, I remember that I got BioShock Infinite, I think, 1 week on PlayStation Plus. And now we're seeing that.
I got BioShock on Games with Gold at 1.2.
Yeah.
I remember that happening because I have it, but I didn't ever play it. It's in my library because I never played 2, so...
But anyway, PlayStation Plus has been really, really great the last year or so, and I think it's legitimately better than Gold now because Microsoft's not putting any effort into Gold at this point. But like, they've been hitting it when the PlayStation 5 came out, they gave you Bugsnax right off the bat, and then some other games, and they're giving you. I've downloaded every single one so far. I haven't played all of them, and I have no intention to, but they're like, it's not like the shitty games at the beginning of the PS4 generation that I downloaded only because they were there with no intention of playing them.
They're good games that you might actually play someday.
Sure. So
you just don't intend to play them now.
Right. So for February, there's 3 games. I can't remember what one of them is, but it's a bigger game, a bigger multiplayer game. Then the other 2 are Control Ultimate Edition, which is the edition actually that gives you the PlayStation 5 upgrade after there was that whole controversy about that when Remedy announced the Ultimate Edition for Control. So they're giving us
weird little side note. I don't know if you saw, but like Wario64 tweeted about it, and apparently the Japanese version, they have a fourth game, but their Control is the regular version.
Oh, that's so weird.
So it's just so bizarre.
It's very, very weird. So Control Ultimate Edition is one, and then the other one is Concrete Genie from Pixel Puss, which is another PlayStation exclusive that I have not played yet. That's more of an indie kind of game.
I think Bloodstained was on there too, wasn't it? Because I saw that and I was like, motherfucker.
I don't think it was this month. I think that was last month.
Was that last month?
I think so. It was recently. I think I got it actually, but I have no intention of playing it.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I'm definitely jumping into Concrete Genie for sure, because that's a game that I had always intended on playing. And every time it was on sale, I looked at it like I should play this now, and I never did. But now is a perfect time. It's not a very long game. I think you can plat it in like 20 hours if you want to get that far with it. So I'm going to be able to do that before Strikers comes out. But then just for me grabbing Control Ultimate Edition now, because the PlayStation 5 upgrade does not come out yet. It's soon, but it hasn't come out yet. I'm just going to wait until that comes out, and then I can play that.
Why not? It was up for
Game of the Year?
Bunch of awards.
It
Game
won.
Of the Year.
Didn't it win Game of the Year?
I can't remember.
I can't remember what game. After all of that fucking Game Award shit.
It was
that year.
That was the Kojima year, right?
It was the
Kojima.
Yeah, Death Stranding was nominated for everything. That's what I really thought was going to win everything. But I kind of feel like Control.
I think Control won something.
No,
but I
you know what
won
won?
Game of the Year.
It was that other game. Fuck! It was that other game that's coming out. It has a PS5 upgrade coming out soon too. It's like an RPG. It's like a post-apocalyptic kind of RPG, I think. Game Awards 2019? Was that 2019? Yeah.
Yes. It looks like this month it's Rocket Arena, Worms, Rumble, and Just Cause 4.
Okay. Maybe Bloodstained was sort of recently. Oh, that's right. Sekiro won last year, or in 2019.
Right.
But Control was up there that year. I think Control won like IGN's Game of the Year maybe that year. So it won Game of the Year places.
I think it won some like other major category that wasn't Game of the Year.
Sure. And I know that
like art direction
I know that at least two of our listeners like Control quite a lot. So I'm finally going to play it, everyone. I'm going to play it. I'm waiting for the PS5 upgrade, but they're giving that to me for free. So
I'll probably play it as well.
I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Let's get into the topic of the show, which is our favorite topic on this podcast, with a twist. Let's go to GameStop, everybody.
Let's go.
So if you've been living under a rock, and this is literally a rock situation because this is in the real news now. I say real news like
this is in the news that like I talk to like real people like professionally about this.
So which one should I start with? I have two articles pulled up from Polygon. I don't know that Polygon's the right website to be using for this. I probably should have went to gamesindustry.biz, but this is what we're doing. I'll start with the...
I think we should start with we just said that there's no way you haven't heard about this, but just in case you haven't.
Here, well, this is that article. On? So okay, GameStop's...
Let's start there.
Okay, GameStop's stock market explosion explained. This is an article from Owen S. Good over at Polygon.com.
Let's start there.
American stock markets are in a lather. Little guy investors are supposedly cratering billion-dollar hedge funds. Reddit, social media, and now Elon Musk are involved. And somehow this is all for GameStop, the beleaguered video gamer retailer notorious for giving gamers pennies on the dollar for their used software. It's very hard to recap what is going on with GME, the ticker symbol that has become a hashtag, because the news in a volatile stock market changes instant to instant. We'll try anyway. The most important thing to understand about GameStop and short selling is that this is now a very high-stakes gambling table with theoretically infinite losses that for some big players are becoming very real. So real, in fact, that President Biden's economic team and U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen are monitoring the situation, right? White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said. How do you pronounce her name?
I don't know.
I've seen it now. I mean, I've seen her face now several times, and I look at her name every time, and I'm just like, you come from a Eastern European sort of country, don't you?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce Psaki? Saki? Is the P silent?
Let me see. Let me look it up. Let me channel. I would say it's Saki.
Anyway, she said they're monitoring the situation. Why is GameStop's stock price so high? GameStop's share price, which closed on Tuesday at $147.98, in parentheses, it's gone over $300 today, which was Wednesday, isn't any reflection of its health or value as a company. Let's be clear with that. GameStop's share price, which closed on Tuesday at $147.98, is not a reflection of the company's health or its value.
Circling back to what we alluded to at the start of the show, the stock market is not real.
It's a reflection of a war between retail investors and institutional investors. So retail investors being individual day traders or regular people, and institutional investors being big Wall Street firms. Hedge funds, supposedly the professionals, have been betting against GameStop's stock using a trading technique called short selling. Day traders, organizing under the subreddit r/Wall Street Bets, are holding onto the shares of GameStop that they own, despite skyrocketing values that have made some of them millions of dollars on paper, to stick it to the hedge funds. The battle began in earnest last week when our Wall Street Bets realized that I never know how to read subreddits when they're written like that. I guess the Wall Street Bets subreddit is how I would say it in real life, but that's not how it's written out. Anyway, the Wall Street Bets subreddit said that its users who had bought into the stock when the supposed smart money was shorting it effectively controlled the supply of GameStop shares in circulation. Now the banks need to buy the stock to cover the obligations of the short sell bet that they have made. The Redditors are refusing to sell. So what is short selling? Here's a very dumbed down analogy that's 100% correct. Polygon links to @Tashi.
Is this? I wonder if this is the tweet that I saw earlier that explained it, because there was a 3-paragraph tweet, like a picture of an explanation that somebody made.
This one's about
make a lot of sense.
This one's about bananas and monkeys.
Oh, I haven't seen this one.
Okay, so this is @Tashit Senkyop on Twitter. Let's dumb this down for you apes. Let's say, expand the picture, please. Let's say 5 bananas currently cost $10. Mm-hmm. One ape on the market has 5 bananas.
Yes.
Mr. Snake asks to borrow 5 bananas for a bit and instead sells the 5 bananas thinking price will go down soon. He thinks he can buy them later for less and give them back to the ape, so he makes profit on the difference. However, a group of other apes notice what the stupid snake man is doing and decide to buy all the bananas on the market until Mr. Snake has no other choice than to buy the group of apes in order to return what they borrowed. If the group of apes stays strong, then the price will go up. That is an explanation of short selling. So basically, these Redditors bought a bunch of GameStop stock when it was at low price because these other stock market, or these Wall Street hedge funds, essentially, the bigwigs they bought the stock they were going to sell it later to make money.
Yeah, they borrowed it at a very low price.
Sure.
Hoping that they could then sell it and return it at a better price to profit themselves.
Which isn't going to happen if these Redditors hold on to the stock that they now have. So the group of apes
now go the peak. I don't think it was in the article you read, but I believe that the peak price in the last few days, which is the peak price probably of all time for GameStop, was, I believe, $483 a share.
So even $200 more than it was yesterday.
Yes. Hence the like warning that this is a very volatile and very risky market right now.
Yes. So the group of apes in this situation is a chaotic group of investors organized under the Wall Street Bets subreddit, which accounts for more than 2 million subscribers. Last week, one of them realized that GameStop was in a negative float position. This means that the number of shorted shares, that is, the shares loaned to investors that must be eventually returned, was actually greater than the number of shares available to trade. There is likely not an original GameStop issued share left on the market, the user wrote. The shares that you, me, and another user own are shorted shares. There is no way that short sellers can get themselves out of it. They're only going to be buying back their shorted shares, which since they are above 100%, there is no way to do that unless institutions sell off everything they own into the open market.
Yes.
Does GameStop have anything to do with this? No.
No.
The company's last communication with investors was a January 11th report on its 2020 holiday sales, which were down 3.1% from 2019, by the way. On the same day, however, GameStop announced that Ryan Cohen, a well-known investor who bought a 10% stake in the company last fall, had joined the board of directors along with 2 of his allies. This caused the initial jump in GameStop shares price, as Cohen in November wrote a scathing "get your shit together" letter to the company's board. The little guy traders loved it, viewing Cohen as a savior. Investment banks thought their amateur counterparts were due for a bath and bet accordingly. They bet wrong. Clearly.
Yeah, they did.
How much money did people make? Bear in mind that this is paper wealth. It's fluctuating wildly. But the trading
unless you cashed out and you have the money in hand, this is all just imaginary numbers on the internet.
But the trading on GameStop, by the way, on Tuesday, it was the most traded security in the world, has created about $2 billion in theoretical wealth. $2 billion in wealth. Most of it for Cohen and the company's 2 other biggest shareholders. Here's my big brain working here. This Cohen dude that bought a 10% stake in GameStop back in November or whenever, and then wrote this article.
Which I think if I checked right, in November, GameStop stocks were going for like $5 a piece.
Right. Yeah, they were super low.
They were very low.
So this dude buys
the shortage.
Sure. This dude buys 10% of the company. What if he just makes a little Reddit account? Goes on over to the Wall Street Bets subreddit and it's like, hey, these guys, they're short selling our stock. Not our stock. I mean, I know it's my stock, but I'm gonna.
It's everybody's stock. You know, we could all buy it.
They're buying. Yeah, we could all buy this, you guys. We could really dick them over. What if he did that and then like that he just made himself fucking billions of dollars because he owns not billions of dollars. What's 10% of $2 billion?
He accounts for $200 million of that $2 billion.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He has his own hedge fund, and it is this.
Wall Street Bets Redditors, however, have bragged that their portfolios have skyrocketed into the 7-figure territory. How does this end? Short squeezes are a risk of short selling and one that institutional investors are prepared to face, but their assumptions are based on normal investor behavior, and what's happening now is anything less than normal.
Well, yeah, you have a group of people that met through the internet. You're not going to have normal behavior.
Usually a share price would reach a too good to refuse level and there would be a run to cash in on it. While some people would make a lot of money and others would lose big, the stock would return to a more normal reflection of the company's true value and health. But the meme stock punters of Reddit are refusing pretty much every offer. Moreover, they're turning their attention to other shorted stocks where they can hurt investment bankers and hedge funds, including AMC Theaters, BlackBerry, and Bed Bath & Beyond. These fucking heroes are out there fucking just destroying the economy. And I love it. Not the economy, that's not the right word, but the stock market, which is a lot of people think is the economy.
Yeah.
Is this legal?
There's so many takeaways from all this, let's continue with this article.
Let's get through this article and then we'll kind of do a recap before we get into the next part.
Sure.
Is this legal? In a Bloomberg newsletter on Tuesday, Matt Levine wrote, "It might be illegal in all sorts of ways, but it is not obviously illegal." And if the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission were to go after Wall Street Bets for this stuff, they will be breaking new ground and going beyond their previous cases. For now, it appears to be well within the rules, such that any exist in a dog-eat-dog capitalist market. That's what's driving a lot of the schadenfreude and popcorn eating on social media. I know I'm enjoying that schadenfreude quite a bit on social media.
Yeah.
As victims go, it would be hard to find ones less sympathetic than short sellers and hedge funds. A common theme here is mocking institutional investors for being beaten at their own shady game. There's a large lesson still to come about the broadening of access to financial markets, but for the layperson, the best advice probably came from the well-known games industry analyst Michael Pachter last week. Stay away. The smart money already got in and probably got out.
More than likely.
So you studied economics in college.
Yeah, to an extent.
What's your take on this?
It's funny to see. It's just like my first thought whenever like I had gotten my head around what was actually going on was, regardless of how good you are at something, somebody out there that you have no idea exists can 100% ruin your day and beat you at your own game. Never get too cocky, because that is, I think that's essentially where short stocks came from people getting too cocky and being like, oh, I know I can make this work. That's not how it always works in the end.
No.
Especially with the power of the internet. Like, you have extremely creative people out there who have like no followings, but are doing awesome, really cool projects and really cool work. That same concept carries over to the financial area. You're going to have people who can beat you at your own game, even if you're like the top dog at this major hedge fund corporation. It does also further go to show that like none of this is real. Money's not real. The stock market is 100% not real. It's not a reflection of what's actually going on. We're in a global pandemic. So many people are just desperate for like money and assistance and a paycheck. And yet the stock market is at like an all-time high.
It doesn't make sense.
This further drives the point, especially that it's GameStop.
Right.
A company that's been like just hemorrhaging. It's had to let go so many of its like regional management. We even talked about that at
we did several times
in the past 6 months.
I already made the thumbnail for this video, and the image is a going out of sale GameStop. They closed. I think at the end of last year, or maybe it was last fall. They closed like I want to say like 300 stores, something like that.
That sounds right.
Like they're not doing good.
No, they're not. And they keep trying to make it work. And like they had even floated that concept, and maybe it is a little bit older, but they had floated that concept of making stores into like kind of social gathering areas after you had suggested it on the podcast, because we were like, hey,
it was like the day after that.
Yeah. What fucking board members listen to our podcast?
Come on, you guys.
But yeah, they're not doing well. And like when they maybe could have turned things around, a global pandemic hit, and that's going to make things worse, obviously. But it is there is so much schadenfreude. It's like you hear all horror stories about what like these people who are running these hedge funds and doing this like crazy high risk, like own a penthouse in New York, super insane, just like millions and millions of dollars are being transferred daily. You see them go from the top of the world to like now they're on, I don't know, some kind of daytime TV show crying and being like, we need regulations. And it's like, wait, why do we need those now? But you argued against them like 2 months ago when you were just fine.
My favorite, I love all of the memes that are like, oh, well, you have an iPhone. What's up with that? Or like, oh, you should really learn how to budget. That'll make your life a lot easier. Or it's just like all the stuff that these people throw in the face of people who they deem beneath them. And now they're in that position.
Maybe skip the coffee and avocado toast.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else was I gonna say? Oh, it's gone. It is just wild to see this all develop in real time, because it's one thing to like look back,
sure,
but to be at an age where you can understand what this all is and like actually follow it live and have the technology to be able to follow it live is absolutely mind-boggling.
And that's the thing. Okay, that's the thing that's my takeaway. It's the technology piece, because none of this happens without Reddit.
No.
This is such an amazing example of what the power of communication is.
Yeah.
Why we can't harness that, and I'm not saying that good things, I hope that good things come out of this, other than some people make it big that are,
I think, I mean, it's only been a couple screenshots, but I have seen some screenshots within that like subreddit where people were like, thank you guys. I couldn't hold, I cashed out, but because of that, I was able to like pay off this life-saving surgery for person X in my family, or do this other amazing thing, or donate to this great charity that needs funding.
Sure.
And like, it seems like the people, at least that are publicly posting about it, are doing, like, they're making actual good things happen.
Sure.
From this probably small upfront investment that had huge returns.
But like, this power transfers into, like, when we think about Black Lives Matter, when we think about changing things that are hard, this is technology that can help us do that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that we figured out how to do that yet.
No.
in an effective way that actually transmits into actual change. But that everything is here for us. Like, it's here. We just have to figure it out. Like,
we have the tools. We just got to figure out how to properly use them.
Right.
The easiest way is to make money, because that's been so deeply ingrained into all of our heads, is that's how you are successful and that's how you get ahead. So we have step one down.
The fact that this is all like centered around GameStop, though, is just like, what a fitting, I assume, end to that company. Like, I mean, I don't think they're going away anytime in the next couple of years, but like, no. This is like, I feel like this has to be viewed as probably the nail in the, like, this is their swan song. This is the start of their just eventual complete demise. Because eventually, as the article stated, the people will sell and the price will go back to
normal,
what it should be rated at.
Which, I mean, if it's now become public knowledge that these stocks were being short sold or whatever, that means that they were basically worthless.
I mean, right. Yeah.
So now it's become public knowledge that their stocks were worthless. I mean, it was technically public knowledge before, but like, now it's being screamed on a bullhorn on the internet that their stocks were worthless.
I don't know. I don't have anything intelligent to say from the economic standpoint or from the stock market standpoint, because that's not my world. But from a communication standpoint and a technology standpoint, it's really cool to see this happen. And I mean, even the people that aren't taking part in it, or weren't like on Reddit doing that kind of stuff, like, to see that transfer now over into Twitter and other parts of social media as the cultural fallout starts to happen.
Yeah.
That's also really great, because now you have like me seeing it and like appreciating it for what it is.
I do think it's interesting, or rather it will be interesting to see what happens in the next, I don't know, week, 2 weeks, in terms of any kind of government response, any kind of legislation, and any kind of regulations that get implemented. Because that's really going to tell, like, not to get like super, I don't know if this is political or not, but like, this is kind of, in a way, private citizens taking wealth redistribution into their own hands.
Yeah. So let me.
It's being done in a capitalistic way, so you can't complain about it. It's not socialism.
Right. That's the thing.
This is the private market.
And this is something that all of those hedge funds, this is exactly what they were doing, is the thing.
Yeah.
Like they just got beat. This is their game and they just got beat. But this is probably a good point to jump into our next article, which talks about the fall. This was written the day after. So the fallout from GameStop's Wild Wednesday has been ugly. This comes from Patricia Hernandez, also over at Polygon.com. If you spent the last day or two trying to suss out if money is real while watching a green line go up, you're not alone. The GameStop spectacle pitting Reddit against hedge fund giants has everyone talking, even if it's just to try and figure out what the hell is going on. But the increased visibility around the hijinks has had some major repercussions for people trying to play the game, or trying to game the system. And their services people were using to do it are now closing ranks. First, late on Wednesday night, news broke that chat app Discord banned the Wall Street Bets server, where users gathered to shoot the shit and discuss their stock strategies. In a statement to The Verge, Discord said that the ban had nothing to do with potential stock market manipulation, noting that the server was full of hate speech, glorifying violence, and spreading misinformation. We decided to remove the server and its owner from Discord for continuing to allow hateful and discriminatory content after repeated warnings. While users admit that hate speech appeared on the massive community, they also allege that the chat had measures in place to try and stop it. But since the community was so massive, that was a futile task. As one moderator wrote on Reddit, we blocked all bad words with a bot, which should be enough. But apparently if someone can say a bad word with weird Unicode Icelandic characters, and someone can screenshot it, you don't get to hang out with your friends anymore. That's a really shitty way to look at that situation. Like, that person, that mod or whatever, I don't even know who that was. Like, saying that like, oh man, we banned all the bad words. There's still hate speech going on in your community. It's just they're not using those words. Maybe they're using Unicode letters. But, like, the content behind the hate speech is still happening, dude.
Yeah, and you gotta... I mean, banning certain words, I think, I don't know this because I don't run any kind of servers, but I imagine takes about 2 minutes.
Sure.
That is not active community engagement to, like, you know, make this a safe place for everybody.
No, it's on the mods to then go and ban the people that are trying to use those words or that are actually, you know, using those other ways to get around the filters and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Back to the article.
Ban all those ways. I don't know why that wasn't thought of.
For a brief while, the subreddit dedicated to the scheme went private on Wednesday, but as of Thursday morning, it's back up. The posts at this moment are largely angry thanks to a new and surprising development. Services like Robinhood and TD Ameritrade have restricted trades for GameStop and other meme stocks, such as AMC Theaters. At the moment, you cannot search for GameStop on Robinhood, nor can you buy shares. You can only close out and sell your shares. The stock prices have remained high compared to what they were a few days ago, but they are lower than they have been earlier in the week. As of this writing, while prices continue to fluctuate, the GameStop stock appears to be tanking. Robinhood says it did this to tackle market volatility, but users are outraged. Many are pledging to delete the app outright, if not starting to think about a potential class action lawsuit. I have seen actually the class action lawsuits have been filed.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was against Robinhood, but it was definitely against Ameritrade was the one that I saw.
I saw one for Robinhood as well.
Okay. After all, a stockbroker like Robinhood shouldn't be able to determine what people can or cannot buy. There's the
free market.
There's the sense that services like Robinhood are trying to protect large financial institutions, which is counter not only to its name, but also to its previously stated mission of allowing everyday people to invest in the stock market. Hi, let's make an app called Robinhood, and we're gonna like bring this to like the poor, like we take from the rich and give to the poor. We're gonna let poor people is what they're really saying when they name themselves Robinhood. We're gonna let poor people invest in the stock market, but only when we say so.
Yeah, and not when it makes our parent company Citadel lose a whole bunch of money. Because that's also a little dollop of knowledge.
Yeah. Most of the moves have rested on the shoulders of big tech, but the U.S. government, including President Biden's administration and Senator Elizabeth Warren, is also keeping an eye on the situation.
Can you imagine Biden? He wakes up on like Tuesday and he's like, man, we've got all these problems and like the pandemic's still going crazy, and like I have to figure out where to get, like, I don't know, a couple 100 million other doses of this vaccine, and there's still a lot of like social and racial injustices going on everywhere. What people on Reddit?
What are they buying?
What's happening?
Who
GameStop? What's a GameStop?
is GameStop where I bought my grandchildren the Nintendo? President Biden was a PlayStation. The Nintendo? No.
That was the bowling one, right? The one where I could bowl from my house with that little stick.
Yeah, that's something else. Politicians, here's an update. Politicians are starting to call for government intervention with progressive congresswomen such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib, saying that they would support a hearing in the House of Representatives on Robinhood's decision to restrict GameStop trades. They're blocking the ability to trade to protect Wall Street hedge funds, stealing millions of dollars from their users to protect people who have used the stock market as a casino for decades, Tlaib wrote on Twitter, commenting on an article estimating that half of all Robinhood users currently own GameStop stock. Think about that for a second. I mean, I don't know how popular Robinhood was before this. I've seen advertisements for it before.
Yeah, I've seen I considered getting it at one point. I never did, but I certainly won't be now.
But half of all of their users own GameStop stock. That's amazing. Here's the the concern shares bipartisan support, which I understand because there's like the freedom of, here's the right wing, like personal freedoms side, also with like the we need to regulate Wall Street side. I understand how those things would meet up. But when Ted Cruz publicly agrees with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Twitter, there's something seriously wrong with what's going on.
I'm pretty sure Trump Jr. even agreed with it too, and I was just like, "What the hell is happening?"
Yeah, this is okay. Yeah. So AOC tweeted, "This is unacceptable. We now need to know more about Robinhood app's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock while hedge funds are freely able to trade the stock as they see fit. As a member of the Financial Services Committee, I'd support a hearing if necessary." Senator Sherrod Brown, go Bucks, future chairman of the government committee that oversees banking, says he intends to hold a hearing on the state of the stock market. The senator is pledging to make the economy work for everyone, not just Wall Street. So yeah, we'll see where this all goes, but the government's involved, big tech is involved. I don't know. Well, okay, so again, you're the certified economist. You heard it here first. Economist John. That's your Pokemon name, by the way. Economist John. Yeah. What happens next?
It's near impossible to tell. Because you're going to have so many moving parts all happening at once. You're going to have people in legislature, which, as they do, will take sides, some based on principle, some based on money. Because, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. A lot of them are probably getting significant campaign contributions from the people who are now losing billions of dollars.
True.
And will be willing to pay millions of dollars to not lose those billions of dollars. So we're going to see, I really think, I mean, I'm hoping at this point it's too obvious for like Congress people to choose that side, because it's very clear, just because this is not a gaming thing. This is a, oh shit, every news station has this going on kind of thing. So I don't know if this would be deemed as like political suicide to take Wall Street side at this time, but we'll see if that's the case. The real interesting thing though is like, it's easy to have the stick it to the man mentality and say, I don't care about the money. It's about the message, have the Joker mentality at the start. But every day that passes, especially if the stock does decline, even just a little bit, if it goes down to like, I think right now you said it was 190 or something like that, or in the 200s. Like, if it goes down to $100, the person who bought, I don't know, 100 shares at $5 a piece is still making a massive profit at that point. And at that time, if it's down to 100, that means a bunch of other people have sold. So like, it becomes this really weird mental game of, can I trust everybody else who still has this to hold like we all agreed to, or do I just sell out now and walk away? I did my part, pat on the back, probably took a bunch of money from these hedge funds, but didn't entirely follow through with the message, I guess.
This is such an interesting...
I'm really not sure where it's going to go, because there's just so many different aspects to it.
This is such an interesting social experiment.
Yeah.
Like, if you got fucking university professors, especially in economics, or even like, not, what the fuck is that? What's the discipline that starts with but it's not socialism? Sociology. If you had some sociology professors together and we're like, hey, we're gonna put this experiment together. This is exact one about the GameStop stock. There's like so much you could learn from this experiment. That's going to be like, I can't imagine how many textbooks and how many lectures are going to be taught. Like, this is something that's going to be taught in courses.
GameStop is going to be a chapter in economics textbooks from now on.
GameStop, the store, will be long dead.
Yes.
But GameStop, the stock escapade, is a story that will go around forever.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm real interested to find out is, and this kind of goes back to more the legislative side, but like, either short stocks become extinct because there's the very real risk that this happens again, or there are going to be very strict regulations about these short stocks to stop a internet community from derailing a major hedge fund and major stock industry. So I don't know what that's going to do, but something's got to happen, because if we just say, okay, GameStop's behind us, we're good. Okay, what's the next GameStop going to be then?
Yeah. And I keep going back to this internet community. Like, this is literally an internet community that just decided to do something. Like, the last time that's like the only internet community I've ever been in that went and did something was back in like 2007, maybe 2008. Bungie.net used to be like, Reddit didn't exist. Really, there wasn't much social media other than maybe Facebook was around back then.
Facebook was around, but I think they were still you had to have a .edu email to sign up.
This was like at the very end of MySpace.
Yeah.
But Bungie.net had Bungie, like the video game publisher Bungie.
Yeah.
They had a robust forum back then, and there was an off-topic forum called The Flood. And it would just be off-topic comment or topics about anything. Basically what Reddit is now. Except in forum style.
It was baby Reddit.
Right. And back then, like, I remember that there was a raid on 4chan. Like, The Flood went and raided 4chan and just like completely demolished. I can't remember what subreddit. I don't know anything about 4chan. I've never been on the website.
I don't either. I've heard that it can be very dark.
Yeah, there's some channel there. So. Apparently, there's an off-topic channel or something. It was like whatever their off-topic channel was on that website. The Flood went and raided it and basically just like brought down 4chan for a day. And like, that's the only thing an internet community has ever done in the history of the internet. But now
that's something that stayed within, like, you don't have your parents talking about that. You just have your kids at school who are on 4chan being like, man, you assholes. Right. Why'd you come and do that?
But this is a community that went out and affected the real world.
Yeah.
I'm still blown away.
It's absolutely insane. To quote a friend of mine who works in not in stocks, but like in close to that kind of market, he basically summed it up as the test subjects are now running the experiment, which is 100% what's happening. And it's insane to watch in real time.
Yeah. Okay.
And it just makes you wonder what's next. Because, like...
And how fast can they put... I mean, if they don't put regulation in place fast, something else will pop up.
Yeah.
Like, they were already able to identify these other... And they're all, like... They're all retail. It's retail stock, and it's all stock for companies that haven't probably been doing well they weren't doing well before this, but then the pandemic hit, and it's just
it's Nokia, it's AMC, it's Bed Bath and Beyond.
BlackBerry was in there.
What
the fuck is a BlackBerry?
I don't know.
What is a BlackBerry in the year 2021? I had a BlackBerry. I loved my BlackBerry Curve, but then I got a smartphone, and never got a BlackBerry again.
And I did look at those stock prices, and like some of them are quote unquote higher at like, I don't know, close to $20, but a lot of them are that $10 or under. Like some of them are close to $5. So it's very real. There's a very real chance that people could still hop on that train. I don't know if it's going to, have the GameStop story, but it's 100% possible at the very least.
Sure. Let's move on to our next news story. Actually, I'm going to go out of order from what's on the show, Doc.
Okay.
This is a Polygon. Thank you for sponsoring this podcast, Polygon. Here's another article from Polygon. This is from Michael McWherator.
Polygon has a podcast, right?
I'm sure they do. I don't know what it is.
Can we be their? Can we be like their baby pod, like their little brother podcast?
I think
Polygon, you can keep your like high quality. I don't know how much money you went into your recording equipment, but like your probably very expensive podcast. You can keep that. Can you just sponsor us for like a small percentage of that, and we'll just keep on doing what we do?
You want to hear something? This podcast is better produced than some of the stuff that like IGN is making with like the state of the world as it is, because we have built this podcast to be this way. We have better production quality than some of the big guys right now.
Oh yeah, especially with you mean being like not in the same room?
Yeah.
Like not having a studio where we go and record everything. Yeah.
Right. So Michael McWherator writes, Vicarious Visions, maker of Tony Hawk and Crash Bandicoot remasters, is merged with Blizzard. Vicarious Visions, the studio behind the recent Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remasters, is now a part of Blizzard Entertainment. The studio has been merged with the developer behind World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and Diablo to provide long-term support, Blizzard said in a statement to GamesIndustry.biz. Blizzard has been working with Vicarious Visions for some time, a representative of Blizzard said, but it's not clear on what projects. Blizzard has a relatively high number of announced titles in development, including Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, and Diablo Immortal. None of those games have announced release dates, however. We may know more about Blizzard's plans and how they involve Vicarious Visions, more than 200 employees soon. BlizzCon Online, an online-only version of developers' annual BlizzCon gaming conventions, will take place February 19th through the 20th. Vicarious Visions was founded in 1990 and initially focused on titles for Game Boy and PC platforms. The company was acquired by Activision in 2005 and went on to develop games in the Guitar Hero, Transformers, Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and Skylanders franchises. This news story, when it came out, made a lot of people angry because Vicarious Visions' work is really great. The Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy was an amazing remake of those games. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which came out last year, very highly regarded. The best Tony Hawk games since Tony Hawk 1 and 2 back on the PS1. And
they didn't ruin it by remaking it.
Right. So when this comes out and, this studio that seems like it was going on to do really cool things gets merged with Blizzard, that made a lot of people angry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I get why. Like, it'd be cool to see the studio given something.
Yeah, do its own thing.
However, let me submit to you something else. Like, I don't think that people are really thinking this through to the end. Yes.
I think I agree.
Tony Hawk 1 and 2 was great. Yes, Crash Bandicoot was great. But who makes the decisions for Vicarious Visions? It's not Vicarious Visions. No. It's Activision. Activision is telling them what they're making. And yes, Tony Hawk 1 and 2 did well. Or they scored well, I should say. I don't know that they did well financially, though. Because Activision, a company made, or that's driven by their pursuit of money, more so than their creative vision, had Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 come out and did super great, they probably would have they would have let them go and work on the next one.
Yeah.
That's a lot of conjecture on my part, but like, I mean, if the studio was truly that's not what I was saying. If the studio was worth it in Activision's eyes, they wouldn't have merged them with Blizzard to begin with.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
I also don't understand why people think this means that Vicarious Visions is going away. The studio might not exist, but all of those people are still there. They've been absorbed into Blizzard. And this is rumor. This isn't in this article, but there's a lot of talk about Blizzard not remastering, but remaking Diablo 2.
I was going to bring that up. I had that in a little tab.
We'll see what happens at BlizzCon this year, next month. But when you have a studio that has put out 2 amazing remakes, if Activision sees that and they see that, Blizzard is already working on 2 different Diablo games. They don't have the plus Overwatch 2, plus World of Warcraft and all the other things as Blizzard. They don't have the manpower to do this other thing, but they have this other studio that does.
And that has apparently a very good track record for doing these remakes and remasters.
So sending those people to Blizzard, I don't think it takes away what Vicarious Visions did. I think it just makes Blizzard better.
Hopefully. Unless they all leave en masse, which I imagine we would see an article about that, and we haven't, so...
I mean, I'm definitely looking at this. I understand I'm looking at this as like a glass half full kind of thing, but...
Sure.
I don't know. In my mind, Activision was not Activision was never going to give them the time of day to begin with. Because they're not at the end of the day for Activision, they're not making Call of Duty. They're not. So who cares?
Is this almost like a best case scenario then?
Yeah, for me,
like, for the circumstances, this is the best outcome.
I mean,
realistically,
I don't think that Tony Hawk sold well. It reviewed well, and they should definitely be lauded for that. But in Activision's eyes, they could have just closed the studio. So if there's a project for them to work on over at Blizzard, great. If it's Diablo 2 and they get to remake it, the one of people's all-time favorite games, amazing. Even if that's not the case, though, there's still all of the talented people there are still going over to Blizzard, and it's only going to make Blizzard's games better. So that's my take on it.
The only sales stats I found from a real quick Google search were on Wikipedia, and that was that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 has become the fastest selling game in the franchise, selling 1 million copies in the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I don't know how it's done since then, because I mean, this came out months and months ago.
Sure.
But at least at the start, it was...
So it sold... Okay.
For Tony Hawk, it sold the best.
Yeah.
So that's good.
For sure.
Which, again, Activision's probably making those calls, and they're seeing the money, so they see another old, beloved game in Diablo 2, maybe, and want to catch that lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Do it again.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's $1 million is a lot of money.
No, $1 million
for a
sales.
game to make. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 million copies were sold. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. 1 million copies sold is a big deal for any publisher, for any game.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a 200-person studio. That's a big studio. And for Activision, when you look at Call of Duty that sell, I don't know sales. I don't know. Call of Duty is usually the top of sales numbers for the year. I don't know what that actually ends up looking like, but it's probably.
But it's more than 1 million.
Way more than 1 million.
Yeah.
Tens of millions. Like 200 people is a lot of people.
That's
so it
true.
makes sense. It makes sense to absorb them.
The biggest money sucker, I guess, in a business is almost always the payroll.
Yeah.
So the more people you have, the higher that's going to be.
I think a lot of the hate for this just came from Blizzard's current mind share. People are still salty at Blizzard for the Hong Kong thing, and rightly so. Blizzard hasn't exactly released anything lately.
Yeah.
I guess they just put out a Warcraft expansion, but they haven't really been present through the pandemic. So I get it. I mean, I get it. I understand that it would be cool to see where the studio goes, but it's not a complete horrible thing either, I don't think.
No. It's not the end of the world as some people made it out to be.
For sure. Next article comes from The Verge, which is the parent company to Polygon. Tom Warren, and specifically,
Verge, do you have a gaming and nerd culture podcast? Do you want a separate one from Polygon?
I linked to this article in particular because it was written by Tom Warren. Tom Warren, if for some reason you're watching this podcast, I'm sure you're a good dude. You're very knowledgeable. I appreciate the work that you do. You just have bad takes, man. You have bad takes about some stuff.
Yikes.
Particularly,
Josh, what about our sponsorship? You can't get Tom on our bad side before we get them to give us the money.
Sometimes brothers fight. Sometimes mommy and sometimes you hate your dad. This is one of those situations. #
mad at dad.
Yeah.
Check out QuickTime Event Plays Persona 4.
Anyway, Tom Warren writes, Microsoft risks a year of goodwill with its Xbox Live price hike. Let me preface this article again by saying that none of this actually ended up happening because Xbox backtracked on everything.
Within a day. But here's the original article, because I feel like we should talk about it. Microsoft spent most of 2020 building up goodwill for its Xbox Game Pass service and next-gen consoles, but a new Xbox Live Gold price hike risks wiping all of that out. The Xbox maker announced a number of changes to Xbox Live Gold's pricing today, and the bottom line is that it's moving from $60 a year to $120 for most people. That's a huge jump and a badly timed one. It's happening in the middle of a pandemic, just as Microsoft has reported big boosts to its gaming revenue throughout 2020. The reason for the move is obvious: get people on Xbox Game Pass, but Microsoft has done it in a clumsy and poorly timed way. Xbox fans are understandably angry. Microsoft stands alone in being the only platform holder to force players of Fortnite, Call of Duty Warzone, and other popular free-to-play games to pay a subscription fee for access to multiplayer. That fee has now doubled as the majority of people buy codes to top up their Xbox Live subscription. Microsoft quietly removed these $59.99 12-month codes last year, and the 6-month codes are now priced at $59.99. You can probably still find 12-month codes from resellers and retailers, but they're officially discontinued. So this goes on to say, you have to pay $120 just to play Fortnite. Microsoft's announcement doesn't even attempt to justify this price hike. In a blog post that reads like it was written by a lawyer, Microsoft says, periodically we assess the value and pricing of our services to reflect changes in regional marketplaces and to continue to invest in the Xbox community before announcing the changes. The only justification is we invest in our community by strengthening the digital safety of our players, enabling new ways to share, communicate, and play with your friends, and delivering industry-leading reliability across our network. What Microsoft's announcement doesn't detail is the real reason for these price changes: Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft quickly managed to entice 10 million people onto Xbox Game Pass last year. The number is now 18 million subscribers, by the way. That came out a couple days ago. 18 million subscribers on Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass has been widely praised, but Microsoft is now clearly trying to aggressively move its existing Xbox Live Gold player base over to the service. So yeah. Again, Microsoft has completely backtracked on the entire price hike described below. It will not increase the price and will instead make multiplayer free to play games free. I did not know that other part. I had no idea. I didn't know that either.
To play Fortnite, you had to be subscribed to Xbox Live Gold.
I've always had Gold anyways, so it never even occurred to me that was a thing.
Right. That's crazy to me that you needed that.
Yeah.
Because like again, PlayStation doesn't even do that. So yeah. Let's start with, before we get to the backtrack, let's just start with how this even happened. Why would they do this? I get moving people to Game Pass. I get that, okay, $120 a year for Xbox Live Gold. You can pay an extra $5 a month, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because $120 would be $10 a month. It's $15 a month for Xbox Live, or for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which would be $180. So for an extra $60, you can now get everything together, plus all this other free stuff. Yeah. I understand why they would want to do that, but to do that aggressively, to double the price, this wasn't a decision that one person made. No. This had to go through
so many departments and so many meetings of executives. I don't know how this happened either.
Xbox Live, I remember Xbox Live debuting at $49.99 on Xbox, and it stayed at $49.99. I think through the Xbox 360 generation. I think it was at the start of this last generation, the Xbox One generation, is when PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live both went up to $60. It did a $10 price hike after however many years.
Yeah.
To go from a $10 price hike after essentially a generation and a half at least.
Which was basically a 20% increase?
Sure. To a 100% price increase is ludicrous to me.
Yeah.
How did they do this and not how did they get through all of that work? How did they get through all of those levels of certification and people signing off, and they never once thought about backlash from people? Did they get...
is there there's obviously QA testing for games. Is there QA testing for ideas?
There should be.
Did they go around to just they should have just gone to their, I don't know, quote unquote lowest level employees that they could find. Be like, hey, you make far less than me. How would you feel if we made gold double the price?
Right.
Because I can guarantee you talk to even you're going to have a couple employees who are just scared to give the answer, but you're going to get at least a couple who are going to be like, what the hell are you thinking? Why would you do this?
It's such it's so clear as day as to that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And again, I get that you're trying to pressure people into Game Pass, and you probably should be doing that to some extent.
Yeah, but not double the price.
No. Not when the company you are competing against, the company that has been whipping your ass, by the way, for the last 10 years, is still at $60. Oh, and they have a bunch of first-party games they're putting out this year. Somehow they're able to sell more consoles than you, or have been able to build more consoles for the next generation than you have. This just, I don't understand. I have no idea how there are fucking, I don't know how many people work at corporate in how many corporate executives there are over in fucking Redmond, Washington, but how?
Every company, I think I'm getting this from The Simpsons actually. Every company needs a department, not even a department, just a person, just a one man show. And that department is called the Keeping It Real department. You bring your idea to this person and they will say, yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea. Why haven't we been doing that? It's stupid that we haven't. Like the making free to play games, actually free on your platform. Or conversely, they say, this is the stupidest idea that I have ever heard. Take it back, rework it, bring it to me when it's something completely different. Like, you just need somebody who's going to be brutally honest and has no fear of repercussions for being brutally honest, but also who like isn't a multimillionaire. Like, you just need to pay somebody a livable wage who's going to just be honest with you.
Right.
Just a one person show.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about our predictions, and we talked about Xbox. I think that I mentioned that they're sort of like an enigma. Like, I don't know what to expect from them going forward.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they keep trying to like mix their messages around, and they're trying to, I
remember you saying that they've like dipped their toes into 8 different pools.
Sure. And then they get to decide, like they did that so that when they figure out what direction they actually want to go, they can be agile and do that.
Yes.
This, though, brings another level to the enigma. Because how is the same company that has been so gamer friendly, that is their whole thing, for the last 5 years or so, they have been the company that's been out there saying, we're for gamers. This is the best place to play because we have an open border policy, essentially, and like, we want to make you happy. That same company somehow makes this decision. That, to me, leads me down to a path where I start to wonder whether this is all just a show.
Yeah. To stick with your original analogy, they had dipped their toes into this games as a service model. And instead of like taking one step in and doing, I don't know, some kind of like 15% price increase for the non-GameStop or Game Pass inclusive thing, instead of doing that like a normal sane person would do, they got out, grabbed their consumer, and threw them in.
You're coming, not even you're coming with us. You're going in.
You're going in.
You don't get a choice.
It was kind of warm, but I think you'll be fine. Oh, it's actually like boiling water. Sorry about that. Come on out. Here's some burn treatments.
Yeah.
My bad.
I just like in my heart of like I understand that Microsoft's a company and they're only in it to make money.
Yeah. As every single company basically is.
But I thought there was something else there. Like in my heart I wanted there to be something else there, cuz Phil Spencer just comes off as like such a likable guy. You know, he comes out and he wears a stupid Battle Frogs t-shirt. He's like, I wonder what we're going to announce next year. This t-shirt might not give it away. Like, I like him as a person.
Yeah.
But
I'm choosing to believe that the board of directors tied him up and shoved him in a closet while they made this decision.
Sure.
He has nothing to do with it. He's still safe.
But at the end of the day, it's just they're only, they only are doing these gamer friendly things. And I keep using air quotes every time I say gamer friendly because it's not, at the end of the day, they don't care about that part of it. They only care about that insofar as much as it affects their bottom line.
Yeah.
So
they're not doing it out of the goodness of their own hearts. They're doing it because they see dollar signs at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
That is their quote unquote goodwill.
So they backtracked on everything. They, said, okay, we're not going to do that. I saw some people that were like tinfoil hatting and saying, this is all just a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
And, because all marketing is marketing essentially.
Yeah. Oh God, what's the old phrase? All publicity is good publicity or something like that.
Yeah.
Or bad publicity is good publicity or something.
People are talking about
along those lines. Yes.
However, as this article says, they removed the $59.99 12-month codes last year. Like, they don't make those cards anymore. Now they only sell the 6-month cards.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of people on Reddit who work at retailers
going back to Reddit
posting pictures of boxes they received of the $120 12-month cards. They exist, or it was the $60 6-month cards, I guess. Microsoft would not have manufactured.
Wait, the $60 12-month cards, you mean?
No, they got boxes at these retailers of $60 6-month cards for the $120.
So saying that the conspiracy theory is not true.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't have wasted manufacturing resources, time, money, all that stuff to ship all these boxes everywhere with all these codes. Yeah, I get that it probably doesn't cost much to print a piece of plastic, but
still,
it adds up. Especially the logistics of shipping it to every major retailer across multiple countries.
Great, they took it back. Good job.
Yeah. What happens to those codes now? What happens to those all those random ass cards? Did like retailers get permission to just permanently price mark them down to whatever the 6-month card is supposed to be? So they're not wasting?
I doubt it. I bet they send them back. They melt them down is what they do.
Yeah, sounds right. What a world.
That was a whirlwind of a day last week. Like, there was just, this was before, there was was that Wednesday last week? No, because it was after the podcast. I guess this would have been Friday last week.
I think it was Friday.
That was the other thing, is they did it on a Friday, which is usually the slowest news day. And they purposely, this was such a corporate move. They did it, they released this news on a Friday so that everybody, like, no one would talk about it, one, because it's the weekend, and then everyone's going to forget about it.
Yep.
But the internet held Microsoft accountable. Thank you, internet.
All comes back to the internet.
It's true.
It is, I think, a good thing and a positive. I don't know the right word, but I'm happy to see that they walked it back so quickly, that they were able to take that action and not like be like, oh, okay, we gotta fly in Tom and Jeff and Sabrina and like all these board execs and talk this over again and see what we got to do from here. Like they were able to just be like, all right, we're sorry, we're undoing this. And just owning up and saying, hey, we made a mistake. Because so many companies refuse to do that in today's day and age, where they're just like, sure, they'll correct the mistake, but they won't apologize for it. They'll just be like, okay, we heard that you're complaining. Here, this is what you wanted.
Sure.
We're not going to say sorry for trying to get away with it, but
I mean, I'm glad that they said sorry. But at the same time, I don't want to congratulate them for saying sorry.
That's fair.
Because they were like what they were going to do in the beginning. Like, again, this is not a decision that someone just made off on a whim. They had planned this out. They just didn't expect it to be this loud.
That's true.
Like a week later, we have fucking Reddit taking over the stock market. So maybe companies are going to start thinking a little bit differently about how they make decisions.
It is interesting to think about how much the world is going to rapidly change in the next coming, even just weeks. But like, internet culture is starting to permeate into the real world in ways that we never would have expected.
Yeah.
Mainly going back to the stock market thing. But like, now stockbrokers have to keep into account like meme traders, basically.
Right.
Like that's a whole new world that they don't really get, and you can't really teach either. I think that the word is tribal knowledge. Like you just learn it as you experience it, and it just becomes what you know.
Yeah.
So
last article for the day slots into our This Week in Hell segment on this podcast.
Excellent.
Owen Good over at, you guessed it, Polygon.com wrote Kevin Hart to star in Borderlands movie as Roland. 2 of the 4 original heroes have been cast for Eli Roth's adaptation. Eli Roth's adaptation of Gearbox Software's Borderlands has cast its Roland. Kevin Hart gets the part of the ex-Crimson Lance Merc, joining Cate Blanchett as Lilith, as one of the sci-fi shooter's 4 original heroes. Lionsgate announced the casting on Tuesday, noting that Hart has starred in 10 films that have opened as box office number ones. His most recent role was in 2019's Jumanji: The Next Level, whose $59 million domestic opening was tops for its premiere week. John?
Yeah.
Why? Why is Kevin Hart Roland? But more importantly, why are we getting this movie to begin with?
I wish I knew. In a time when the movie industry and the film industry is like not what you should be investing in, and the games industry is what you should be investing in, I don't know why they decided to pursue this venture.
I don't understand. I guess, okay, so you're the executive deciding what to make a movie out of.
Mm-hmm.
You see this Borderlands franchise, which is popular. And you're like, okay, well, I mean, we start at Borderlands 1, right? Like, that makes sense. We start at the beginning of the series. No one likes that game. I mean, people like that game. It was a fine game.
People like it, but I mean, the way I liked it was for the gameplay. I did not really like it for the story.
There was no story. It was so basic. There was almost no voice acting, if you remember that. It was all dialogue that you read in quest boxes.
Yeah, because I remember skipping a lot of it and being like, what did I just do? Okay,
yeah.
I got a gun. Neat.
Who looks at this and says, forget Handsome Jack? We're going to make remember when we were talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? And we were like, at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog, there's going to be a credit stinger and they're going to this is that credit stinger. Handsome Jack's going to show up in the fucking stinger and it's going to be like, okay, well, here's Borderlands 2. Just start there. That's where the good stuff is.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a Borderlands movie, make it about that, not this. Again, I don't think we need a Borderlands movie to begin with, but if you're going to do it, at least what did you call that department? The down to earth department or whatever at Microsoft?
The keeping it real department.
The keeping it real department. At least take it to the keep it real department so they can say, no, start at 2.
Yeah.
You have this character that's larger than life that everybody loves. The first game didn't really have that great a story or really any story. And the main characters really didn't have that much personality or dialogue or anything. They get all of that in Borderlands 2. That's where you really see that character development happen, is in Borderlands 2. They didn't take it to the keeping it real department.
No, they did not. If they did, they would have heard a lot of feedback.
Kevin
All
Hart.
of it negative.
Kevin Hart as Roland.
Mm-hmm.
Roland, the least funny character in that game. I don't know that he has any comedic lines. If he has any, it's in a diary entry that you find along the way, and he's just being basically the straight man.
He's the only serious character,
right,
in the entire series.
Yeah, and you get Kevin Hart to be that guy. I mean, I'm not saying Kevin Hart couldn't act. He could. Yeah. I'm sure that Kevin Hart could play the role if he wanted to, but that's not the role that Kevin Hart has ever played.
Is Kevin Hart now having an acting change and he's going to only play serious roles? Is he pulling an Adam Sandler
or a Jim Carrey?
Yeah. Which even that's debatable with his
both of those people are
Sonic.
Yeah.
Or playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
There was a period there where he was like, okay, I'm done. I'm doing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm only a drama actor now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he got real depressed and it was all very sad. But
sure,
he's made a return. Kevin Hart hasn't reached that point yet, but is this is this where he starts?
Is this the start of the fall? And then in 6 years, he'll be like, all right, listen, I'm really sad because I'm always the quiet stoic character and I want to be the funny man again.
Yeah. John, this is going to be the next. I think we have a couple memes on this podcast.
Yeah.
The biggest has been Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the next one.
It very well could be.
We might need to set some extra life goals this year, or when this is coming out. It hasn't been shot yet, so I assume no time soon, but
we can only hope that it will just never come out and it will be shut down.
That's very true. But if this ever gets into production, when we see the first trailer, I think we might need to start thinking about how
how our response.
Yeah, we need to start thinking about our content around this movie because I think it'll be big.
Yeah, I think you're right. at the same time, I don't know if I ever want to step foot in a movie theater again.
That's true. That's
so
true.
We'll see.
We'll
see what happens.
We'll just work. We'll just, at that point, hopefully we can see each other in person and we can just cosplay on the couch and just watch it on HBO Max or whatever.
Maybe we'll be able to do one of those like, what's it called? Like a viewing party on like streaming services. Watch along.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Do one of those where we're dressed up and I don't even know what we'll do. I'll be so just captivated by whatever the hell they try to put on the screen.
Okay. I almost want to do a topic of the show next week where we cast the rest of the Borderlands movie. Should we do that? Is that a good idea? Is that good content?
I think we could, yeah.
Okay. Let's
and it won't take that much time either.
No. So next week we're going to cast the Borderlands movie. So
we should definitely reconvene and make sure that we have the same character list.
Yeah.
So that we're not like, I don't have,
sure,
let's say Dr. or Professor Tannis and you don't, but then you have Skeeter, whatever his name was.
Scooter.
And I don't. I forget.
It's Scooter, I think. Catch a ride?
Okay. Yeah, that guy.
I think that's a good play. Did we miss anything? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. Just nothing is real.
No, nothing is real, but everything is permitted. Thank you for watching episode 130 of the QuickTime Event Podcast. If you like what you heard, you can find us live on some podcast service at some future time when my internet works. You can also find us on YouTube. Go to QuickTimeEvent.net to get to our QuickTime Event YouTube channel, where you can watch not only this QuickTime Event podcast, but also our Let's Play series around Persona 4 Golden. You can also find me on Twitter at Josh Clasen. John is on Twitter at John Kameko. We will be back next week where we cast the Borderlands movie and talk about where GameStop's at, probably, again.
Yeah, or at least the stocks.
Yeah. Hopefully the world will still be here.
GameStop will still be as depressing and sad as ever.
It's true.
Spoiler alert.
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you had a good time. Come join our Discord server. We
can discuss the next stock that's being taken down.
Yes. Our Discord server where hate speech is very flatly not allowed. It's in the rules. All right, everybody. Have yourselves a good weekend. Play something nice. Watch something good. Watch WandaVision tomorrow. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace out.